In the near future, the company Wife-like Enterprises sells android wives that will do anything that their husbands want, from dinner to intimacy. They can be programmed according to the husband's tastes, and they're incredibly realistic, to the point where you can insert the memories of a dead loved one to pretend they're still with you. Thousands of men use this service, but it also has its detractors. The members of the Scare organization think the androids have reached enough humanity to have rights and that they deserve autonomy instead of being slaves. More extremist groups kidnap these androids in an attempt to free them. This is why the company now has a team of recovery agents to get them back. William is the agent with the best recovery record in the region, and that's why the company's CEO Marion comes himself to tell William that he doesn't have to worry about losing his wife because they've made him a new Meredith with all the memories of the real one. As soon as William sees the android, he can't help remembering the night he met Meredith. She had knocked on his door while collecting support for her campaign to end wife-like in the name of real love instead of artificial emotions. William takes the new Meredith home, and after putting her in one of his wife's old dresses, he activates her and guides her to the process of waking up. Meredith's moves are awkward and she has to get used to simple things like walking and breathing. She also refers to herself in third person. However, William isn't worried, and he explains she only needs time to assimilate the implanted memories. Before she knows it, she'll behave so naturally human-like that nobody will be able to tell she's an android. Fortunately, Meredith remembers William, and the house feels very familiar to her. When night falls, she's ready to get frisky, but while William is quick to custom all the intimacy settings to his liking, he's still too nervous and awkward to get started. Fortunately, Meredith doesn't mind taking control of the situation and guiding her husband through a night of fun. William would want to fall asleep together for the rest of the night, but Meredith needs recharging, so she goes to sleep in another room where her charging bed awaits. In this room, she finds some of Meredith's old things, like a brush and a diary, but she doesn't dare to read it yet. When she looks out the window, she sees something weird among the garden trees, but she can't tell what it is and pays no mind. The next morning, while Meredith makes breakfast, the couple watches the news cover the latest protests. Seeing this prompts Meredith to ask William about his job, and he assures her that being an agent means working for the safety of people like her, unlike the Scare who reprograms androids to commit terrorist attacks. After William leaves for work, Meredith goes through her old things, like clothes and makeup, to hurry the process of becoming the real thing. At the company, William and his partner Jack go over the details of the latest android abductions. They also see if there are any updates on Scare's leader, the Ringmaster, but he continues to be a ghost impossible to find. Hours later, William manages to find the house where they're keeping the abducted androids just in time to see one trying to escape. William is told to wait for backup, but he disobeys and gets inside anyway to catch the girl before she runs away. As soon as he comes closer, he notices she has a shock collar around her neck, and he removes it before asking her for the details of how many people are in the house. Then, William goes inside, finding the first criminal practicing boxing moves and knocking him out easily. In another room, he finds the lab where they reprogram the androids and frees another wife from her shock collar. However, when they're about to leave, another criminal appears pointing his gun at a third android. William gives him a warning, but since the man doesn't listen, he just kills him with a few shots, calling it resisting the arrest. Meanwhile, Meredith lays down on her bed for charging and is surprised to see the interactive dream program activating. In this interface, she meets Ito, the avatar that will guide her through dream mode, offering a birthday party as her first dream. After being welcomed by William, Meredith is asked to dance by another android wife called Liddy, who sends her to meet a masked man that Meredith doesn't recognize while Liddy's sister Ollie distracts William. This masked man does know her and gives her a card with a red bird on it, claiming it to be a way to help her remember. Unfortunately, he leaves before she can ask more questions. In the background, Louise lingers but decides not to interact. Back at the company, William drops the androids he saved so they can be reprogrammed. In the waiting room, he finds Ollie and Liddy giving him the finger, and he learns they're sent here for reset over and over because they malfunction and keep rebelling against their masters. The next morning, Meredith asks Ito about the masked man, but he has no record of him in the memory files. Then, Meredith asks him to list all of her old hobbies and is surprised to see knitting isn't on the list because she's felt compelled to try it since she woke up. Ito installs knitting 101, and Meredith begins working on a cushion with a red bird on it. Later, she goes out for a ride on her bicycle, only to end up falling in the bushes when she has to dodge Louise, who is standing in the middle of the road on purpose to make her fall. She explains she's here to tell her the same thing she says every time she sends her to the bush. They're running out of time and they need her to remember. Then Louise leaves without offering more explanations. When Meredith returns home, William helps her wash off the dirt and asks her not to pay Louise any mind. Some women just hate androids because they take away their men, blaming them for the high divorce and low birth rates. Later, Meredith goes outside to watch the lake, which used to be her favorite spot. This warm memory prompts her to use I instead of referring to herself in third person, which means she finally has concept of self. Then, Meredith gives William the cushion she knitted for him. William says he loves it, but it's obvious from his expression that he's lying. After pointing out Meredith didn't knit, William tells her about the time they met, claiming it to be an afternoon in the park where Meredith was reading on a bench. Meredith can see the memory of her on the bench in her mind, but not the face of the man approaching her. Thus, when she's alone in the charging room, she finally reads Meredith's old diary. The pages are full of descriptions of having found the love of her life, and Meredith's so touched by these words that she tries to activate self-exploration mode, only to be denied access. Next, Meredith activates dream mode, but Ito doesn't understand why some files are blocked. They choose a memory at random to visit, and Meredith lands on the park bench. Instead of William approaching her though, it's the masked man again, telling her this is where it all started and grabbing her while begging her to remember. Meredith suddenly wakes up to find William grabbing her too, explaining she just had a bad dream and that they should share a room to avoid nightmares. Once Meredith goes to bed, William sneaks outside and throws the red bird cushion in the trash. Meredith spends the night reading what is supposed to be her favorite book and watches some of the real wife's old videos, including one of her in a tent with the love of her life. The next day, William goes to an office building looking for another abducted android and finds her working as a secretary. She changed her name and some facial features before adopting a human lifestyle. She also claims nobody stole her, she walked away by her own choice. William doesn't believe her and thinks she's been reprogrammed, so he orders her to come with him anyway. The android refuses though, claiming she'd rather die free before approaching the window and jumping. Meanwhile, Meredith finds Louise has sneaked inside the house. Louise is pleased to see Meredith is already talking in first person, explaining she isn't always this quick. After confirming her people hacked into Meredith's dream sequences, Louise tells her that the masked man wants to meet her in person. She also points out that William lied about the awful things Scare does. Knowing Meredith is recording everything, Louise leaves a message for William, saying Keen can't wait to see him again. At the company, William brings back the broken android because it's his job, but he's still in a state of shock. His mood only gets worse when he sees the new ads promoting android babies that will never grow up. Bewildered, William asks for a meeting with Marion to demand an explanation about the android's behavior. Marion dismisses his worry, claiming it must have been an accident or reprogramming, which are the excuses news outlets are putting up. Back in the house, Meredith continues to read the old diary with stories about the real Meredith wanting to run away with the love of her life. Then she begins knitting a new red bird cushion because she noticed the first one was lost. When William comes home, he hates seeing the new cushion, but he's distracted by Meredith telling him about Louise and playing the message she left. William decides to call Jack for help, explaining he's been trying to protect Meredith from Keen instead of using her to lure him to them, but it's time for a change. While Meredith is dreaming, Jack will use his computer knowledge to track down Keen. Meredith creates the reality of the dream and makes it feel real, so if she gets hurt, her body will believe the pain is real too. When the dream begins, Meredith lets Ito choose the theme, and he goes for Halloween. Meredith appears dressed as a skeleton at a spooky house filled with creepy mannequins. The masked man shows up and finally reveals Keen's face before showing her the address where they should meet, which is also seen by Jack and William on the screen they're using to track the dream. Meredith wakes up with questions about Keen, but William and Jack leave her in the house to jump into action. Jack takes a backup team to the location the dream transmission came from, but they only find a bunch of mannequins and a suitcase with sleeping gas. Meanwhile, William goes to the address Keen showed in the dream, yet the only thing there is another mannequin wearing the mask. Thinking this was a trap to get Meredith alone, William rushes back to his house, but the android is fine. She had heard a knock at the door, but nobody was there. They only left another diary behind with a note saying it's for William. Meredith begins asking questions again, prompting William to finally confess that in the past, Keen and Scare used Meredith for terrorist attacks, thus he deleted those memories from her mind so she wouldn't have to suffer the pain and guilt of having killed thousands of people with a bomb. After Jack calls to report his findings, William is convinced that Keen has hacked into Meredith and is using her to watch all his moves. That's why he can never find him. He'll have to reset Meredith, but before doing that, he wants to be sent to her dreamscape to confront Keen. At first, Jack refuses to do it since engaging is against the rules because of its real-life consequences, but William promises he won't engage, he'll just talk. Moments later, Jack is connecting William and Meredith to dream mode. Meredith's battery is low already, and she gets instructions to wake up at 10%. William only gets to wake up if she does, and he'll also feel the pain of her reality. The chosen dream is the woods where Louise had pushed Meredith, and as soon as Keen shows up, so does William, who tells Meredith to run. Then, he wonders how Keen is still alive before breaking Jack's rules and starting a fight. Meredith hides in the memory of the birthday party with Ollie and Liddy, but William and Keen end up crashing there as well. Keen insists Meredith will regain her memories no matter how many times William wipes them, but before William can kill him, Meredith's battery reaches 10% and she wakes up. William is frustrated because he almost had him, but Jack is even angrier, refusing to be of help again because what just happened is incredibly illegal. After Jack leaves, Meredith expresses her wish not to have her memories erased, but William convinces her it's for the best. Meredith is sent to the company to be reset, and in the waiting room, all the androids welcome her back as if they knew her. Ollie and Liddy explain they know how to protect their memories from resets, that's why they can remember her, and this way androids can keep passing on information to each other to help the ringmaster bring wife-like down. The ringmaster isn't a terrorist, he frees androids and helps them live a deprogrammed life. Ollie and Liddy allow themselves to be caught constantly in order to come back to this room and bring other androids into their cause. Humans can wipe out their memories, but they can't touch their dreams. All Meredith has to do is choose what she wants to remember and cut and paste a new file under dream mode. She also must record this conversation and play it while she's being reset, but when she goes home, she needs to pretend she doesn't remember to avoid William sending her back. To be reset, they must wait for the battery to run out, so Meredith uses the time to ask Ito to save all her memories under random. Once the operators take her, Meredith learns that the last time they did this, her last words were the F insult, and she repeats it now. Meanwhile, Louise breaks into Jack's apartment to leave his android wife a USB stick with very important files. The wife gives the stick to Jack as soon as he gets home, hoping he'll show her he truly is a good guy. Hours later, Meredith wakes up with tons of new memories, including something about a stalker that she can't quite understand. However, she remembers the rules, and when William takes her home, she goes through the wake-up routine as if she was truly reset. William repeats exactly all the words from last time, showing he's done this way too many times to count. Their reunion is suddenly interrupted by Jack, who has looked at the files and now knows the truth. Meredith never was William's wife and Keen is dead. William killed him, so now he only lives in Meredith's memories, that's why they can't find him. William explains he did it for love, he took the real Meredith the same way thousands of husbands take an android. Pointing out that they aren't above the law, Jack tries to arrest his partner, but William just responds by shooting him. Meredith sees all this and decides to reveal she knows everything too. William had met her the day she knocked on his door promoting her campaign, and since then he became obsessed. Keen was Meredith's boyfriend, and William stalked them both until he saw the chance to strike. He arrested them by reporting Meredith was a kidnapped android, and after putting a shock collar on her neck, he shot Keen before taking Meredith home. The words of love on the diary, the memories of the bench and the tent, all of it were actually of Meredith and Keen. William tried to make a good wife out of Meredith, but she resisted and refused to call this real love, thus William killed her with the red bird cushion and put a ring on her finger to make her look like she truly was her wife. Afterward, when he made an android out of her, he only left the memories he liked. Seeing that Meredith remembers everything, William panics and begins rambling about having given her a perfect life where she can't get sick or get old plus his unconditional love. Meredith doesn't care and fixes her settings to have full strength, then she attacks William as she reveals she had been the ringmaster all along, and the Keen in her memories had been Louise wearing a mask to help her come back. Meredith's mission was to record everything and use it for the cause, and now, she's ready for revenge. After breaking William's arms in name of Keen and the real Meredith, she uses the new red bird cushion to kill him. After leaving the ring behind, Meredith rejoins her sisters at the Scare secret headquarters, promising all her fellow freed androids that they'll never be reset again. Meanwhile, Marion appears in the news lamenting the loss of beloved agent Jack and promises to catch the culprits. This mission shall be assigned to William, who appears on the screen alive and healthy, implying he must be an android now. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.